It's another episode. Here we go. 2 games. Well, we can talk about the 2 games. It's kind of like talking about the same game, maybe?
Yeah, he's Brandt. I'm Tyler. Welcome to the RSL Random Fan Podcast. Yeah, no, we're good. We can go. RSL in prime time, Brandt. We were thinking it might be better than Wednesday.
Were we?
I mean, when Vera hit that banger, we were like, he's coming, he's bringing it. I see you, Vera.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the lineup. The starting lineup for Real Salt Lake in the Sunday night game, which was one player different than the first game, right?
Yep.
Because of RSL tends to get red cards. I don't know if you know this. It's been a weird season. Weird season. So
I'm surprised
RSL,
we didn't get one in this second game.
Captain Cabral. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
Captain Cabral in goal. Yedlin, Glad, Vera, Katranis along the back. Gozo, Kaliskan, Ojeda, Luna, Cruz, and Piol replacing Olatunji up top.
Now, I wasn't on the post game, but I wanted to ask Pablo why Kaliskan is a better option than Anelli. I 3 or 4 times throughout the game, he gave the ball away. He didn't hold the ball in tight situations. And I was like, oh, where's my Anelli? He's just so good on the ball, and he's good going forward, pushing forward. And I think that's what we missed in this game, honestly. So,
yeah. And I wonder, I was watching the game. This might be like an RSL intervention episode.
Yeah, intervention.
There is a ton to talk about off the field or about the team, not necessarily the games, but we can talk about them. But what I kept thinking is like, man, Kaliskan, is he a better option than Anelli? Or not Yedlin over there right back?
Yeah. I mean, could be. Could be Yedlin tried to run the old offside trap there and kind of got stunned, and you could tell Pablo in the postgame wasn't happy about that. So.
No, he was not. It doesn't sound like they even like to work the offside trap. That's not something we do.
Yeah, I guess they wanted him to just run with him. I mean, Yedlin's fast. Might have caught him, but
play a more honest defense. Is that kind of more straight up? Is that what he was talking about?
Yeah. Like, don't worry about where offside is. Just go. Just play. Don't try to jump up or, which is what he kind of did. Because on first glance, I was like, how is he so through and wide open and Glad's fast and Yedlin's fast and, Vera's not super fast, but sometimes he's super fast. He has a couple bursts of speed, like 30, 40 yards. He's pretty fast. So I was like, man, that play just didn't seem like it fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I thought he was offside.
Yeah,
when you first saw it, oh man.
Yeah. Yep, but that was in the second half. So first half though, I thought we were playing well. Kaliskan had a couple turnovers in the first few minutes, and I was like, why? Then we had a couple corner kicks, and I was like, we can play with these guys.
And we had a really beautiful play. 8 minutes in, some back and forth down the right side, and a nice clipped-in cross that found Piol wide open, free header in the box. You got to put it on frame. It did not go on frame. It went over, and those are the things that one thing I've learned this year, I don't know if you know this, Tyler, but goals change games.
Oh, wow.
And
good.
And
games change goals? No.
Not only that.
No?
But also.
It doesn't work the other way around.
Games are made up of moments.
Oh, right.
And so you have to take advantage of those moments. And when you don't take advantage of those moments, you don't score.
Well, and I think just to kind of translate for some of you that don't speak Pablo, I think part of what he's saying is, look, we possessed the ball 61% in the second game. In the first game, it was roughly the same thing. Right? We had 21 shots at LAFC. We had like 19-something shots at home. We had 20 shots. Yeah. Like the games were carbon copies of each other, right? They had 9 shots on target in the second game, and in the first game they had 10. Well, we had 4 on
out of
goal
20 shots
in both cases.
And what that tends to, stats are stats, and you can't sometimes stats tell the story and sometimes they don't, but the stats tell a story every game.
Yeah. And that's why we talk about them, just to kind of go, that's interesting.
And usually if we're talking about shots, if you have 20 shots on goal and only 4 are on frame, that means that desperation. You're desperate. You're just throwing
20%?
You're just throwing stuff at the wall.
It was the same in both games, 20-4, 21-4. It's ugly.
Yeah, they got forced outside, and they did have a little bit of luck in the second game with an outside the box shot from Vera, and we can talk about that. But it really just shows it's the same thing with crosses. We've talked all the time about RSL and crosses. If you see RSL sending in 15, 20 crosses, man, they are getting blitzed because they can't break down
It's just a hopeful lob into the box that we're hoping somebody, which we don't even have anybody that's that good in the air, dude. Krylak's been gone a couple years now. Like, it's, that's not working for us.
So let's talk about, they had the opportunity, RSL, both games.
Yeah.
Started out early, started out well, kind of dominated the game.
And in this game, we even scored early in the Sunday night game, right? We got that banger from Vera. If you have not seen that, go look it up, my friends. It is a thing of beauty. He hits that ball so sweet and true, and it just slides into that upper far left corner. And, of course, he's left-footed, so he hit it with his lefty. But it was off a corner and a little bit of a bump on the guy trying to cover him and a quick swing around to the front, and he just smashed it. And they've set that up in multiple games, and either, someone blocks it or whatever. But strong and true. Right in the back of the net, right past the World Cup winner.
Yeah, it was a missile. It wasn't a laser. It was a missile. I thought it was going out the back of the net. So it was, although
really cool moment, right?
It was a great moment. It didn't get me off the couch, though.
What? Really?
Yeah, I was enjoying watching there, and it's just like, good goal.
I was jumping up and high-fiving everybody. I was like, let's just have the game end right there. Please, please. Everybody vote. Yes, all in favor? Yep. Okay, good.
No, I was just like, well, you know what? I will get excited in the 93rd minute if RSL is up 1-0.
Yeah.
I'm not going to overdo it. I enjoyed it. Thought it was a beautiful goal. And RSL is up 1-0. And it's a little bit of the game is a little bit different. I was remembering a little different looking at the summary. Sun got a great goal. He abused the RSL back line.
Yeah, and you're talking about the Wednesday night game, right?
Yeah, the first goal. Because he was up 3-0, boom.
It was kind of, here's the funny thing. Like, the ball kind of ricocheted funny. You know what I mean? And Nilly was back pressing into the middle, and somebody kind of knocked it, and then it went to somebody else, and Hollingshead, and he just played him through right away. And we don't do that much. We're more of stop the ball, look for a pass, hope they're open, maybe look forward now that we missed the easy pass. Now that, you know what I mean? We're more methodical, and they're more chaotic, which I think obviously plays in their favor.
I think you're being kind with methodical.
Well, yeah, we're not super creative, right? Like
I think.
Oh, and on the first goal it was Tillman. Sorry, the ball came to Tillman. He just whacked it through, and Sun was in. Right?
I think a better word is naive.
Maybe.
And they pointed it out in the second game. I think it was Moadu was talking about why is RSL not that first touch with their strikers, with their attackers, with their midfield? Why is their first touch not forward?
Yeah, it's always sideways or backward.
And it was kind of glaring. So I think there's a lot to talk about. But if we'll bounce back and forth. The first game, RSL goes down 2-0 because that Premier League guy showed up. And I should say there was a lot of Tottenham Hotspurs in the stadiums, and congratulations.
Yeah. I get it. Like he was a superstar over there and just was kind of looking for a new challenge, and they didn't want to sign him as he was kind of a super sub off the bench kind of guy. So they were going to try to pay him like that and just have him come on and be a super sub. And he was like, nah, I want to play and be playing a lot going into the World Cup. So I get it. Come over here. It's where the World Cup's going to be. It's closer than Korea to the World Cup, and all that fun stuff.
And it's been like a shooting gallery for him. It has been
shooting fish in a barrel.
It's been a scrimmage. At least against RSL, it looked like it was a scrimmage for him.
Yeah.
I did want to point out though, congratulations to all the fans. It's got to be really fun to see follow a team like Tottenham Hotspur, and then have a player of his caliber show up in your stadium. And I'm not a Hotspur fan, but I'm married to one, and I didn't realize how much. It's kind of like the David Beckham story, but she was so excited that she's like, I got to see a Premier League player.
Yeah, my daughter too. She's a Spurs fan and just loving it. She's like, my perfect situation is Sun comes in and scores, and then RSL win.
Yeah.
Right? So then we try to convert the Sun fans, the people that came to see him, into RSL fans, right? That's the perfect situation.
Yeah, that's kind of how Alicia is. And I didn't realize she really is a soccer fan. It just makes my day because she was not any kind of sporting fan when we got married 26 years ago. And it's been fun. So I really enjoyed just the joy she had on her face.
Nice.
Watching Sun abuse RSL for a hat trick. But RSL goes down to LA and Sun, get the 2 goals early, and then RSL kind of settled down in that first game.
Yeah, after down 2-0, right, where they can just sit back and counter when they want, right? Cruz got that 37th minute yellow. We went into halftime down 2-0, and then, made some changes in the 68th minute. They made theirs in the 74th. It was like what Pablo was saying. It was like we got a ton of touches in the box and nothing happened, and then Gozo just goes for that banger. Just goes for it. It's like and the funny thing about that play is Cruz was bringing it down, or somebody. Anyway, it popped over to Ojeda, who I thought should have shot it. But instead he played it sideways. And then somebody tried to slide it into Gozo, and it got blocked and popped up in the air. And that's where Gozo's like, I'm just going for it. And that was a sweet goal. Got up on his bike, and someone called it a side bike, a bike sully,
a sidewinder.
It's a little off, perfect straight over the head kick, but
yeah, there's
pretty awesome, pretty amazing that kid can do that. And what a bright spot for us this year, right?
Absolutely. You have to get out a protractor and make sure it's at the appropriate angle to be an official bike. And if it's not an official bike, then it's a side bike or whatever you want to call it. So, and then RSL earns a penalty. And you're thinking, man, LAFC kind of relaxed, and we might get ourselves back into the game. Was it Gozo that earned?
No, it was before the Gozo one. But no, Olatunji earned it. Remember, he was coming across, and he just got hacked by Hollingshead because Hollingshead just lunged over, and it was right as he was going for it. And he did like a somersault.
All right, so thank you for that. Reminding me. So the point was that RSL had the opportunity to be tied in the game.
And apparently Cruz, in practice, is just money with penalty kicks. He said, and Pablo said he's by far our best penalty taker. And I'm like, interesting. Yeah.
It didn't look like it. I hate to stop.
And I love it because it messes up the goalie. And it was open. He had more than half the goal to shoot to. He just hit the post. You know what I mean?
Yep. And then in the 82nd minute, Sun, that was a breakaway, another big breakaway.
Yeah, it's because it was right after we made the change for what's his name?
Agata?
Yeah, we pulled out Catranas in the 60. No, he got a 62nd minute yellow. And then we pulled out Vera and subbed in Junca in the 68th. And Junca was a little unsteady in this game. He was a little unsteady. And then they made their subs, and, that third goal was basically Bawanga breaking away, Junca chasing. Junca was in between the two of them, and Sun played it in between Junca's legs to Sun for the tap in, which is really nice of Bawanga to just give a goal to his buddy who's on a hat trick. But come on, bro. That sucks.
Yeah, I remember because I think 2 RSL players and they go slide and go down on the defense, and then
Glad
it's just,
got aggressive first and came up, and then Junka pressed as the last man back, which
went
you
down.
almost never want to do unless for sure you got it. And then it was just in 2-on-1, and Bowanga's fast and Son's fast, and Junka wasn't going to catch him, but then he thought at the last minute, I got to go get him, so he started stepping, and then he just played it behind him and tap in for Son for his first MLS hat trick. Congratulations. That sucks that it was against us, though.
well, we always welcome the expansion teams and the new players. We always welcome them.
We love it
We
when
love
they
to-
get their first evers against us. Right?
we're very welcoming to the new teams into the league. So
Son of a-
we want to say we don't.
I need some therapy, Brandt.
Yeah, we've got some deep thoughts to get to. So then Bowanga gets his goal and it's 4-1, and then
Which is pretty similar to the other one where everybody just swings and misses and they just run down and score again. And again, dude, Junka, yeah, he was put in a hard situation, sure. And against 2 of the best players to play one-on-one, yeah, that sucks. And he just didn't do well either. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's making it hard on him, and then there's making it easy on him, and he did not even make it hard on him. They didn't have to score any kind of amazing goal, which, the first 2 in the first half and that game were a little more solid. But yeah.
and then, why don't you? I was there, and I didn't really have any. It was a long week for RSL games, and I've seen some of the plays. What are your thoughts on some of the highlights on the red card? It looked like it was one of those ones you could not call it. You could, if you do call it, you can't take it back.
So here's the thing. In the context of the game, right? In the context of the game, they've been bugging Olatunji all game long. It's just like that guy that just sits and pokes you. You know that kid and then all of a sudden somebody just slaps him, right? Like, but in soccer, that's a red card. So you have to do things in subtle ways, like step on their toe and hip check them. And just after the ball goes, you just give them a little something, but not enough to attract a card, right? And so they were doing that to him all game long. They were just poking him, antagonizing him, And so on the corner where the guy is bugging him already, which I already have so many issues with how corners are handled in MLS. Like, so many issues. Anyway, they're basically poking him, bugging him, and he ducks his head and starts moving forward. And then at the end, Guido, is it Guido? No, it's not Guido. It's, what's his name? Yeah. Dang it. Anyway, he basically thinks that he headbutted him. He was trying to use his head as a battering
you're talking about
ram.
the ref.
Yeah, he was trying to use his head as a battering ram, and I disagree with that. Every angle I saw, it looked like he was trying to duck his head. Armando Villarreal.
And he has not had great games with RSL. He's had some good ones, but
it felt
we've had
like he
issues
was
with him.
in love with LAFC. He gave them the benefit of every 50-50 call. Like, guys would come together, and he'd be like, well, the RSL guy, play on. And I get that you think LA's better, but as a ref, you're supposed to call the play in front of you. And I get that. It's the same thing we're arguing here on the red card. But he ducked his head and was trying to, push him off of him. Like, get off of me, right? Like, and I get that. I've been in those situations before where people have just been antagonistic, and you try to put your foot behind their foot so they trip. And, they're guarding you really hard on corner kicks and stuff. And, you're just trying to play it cool, but at the same time, you kind of want to headbutt the dude in the nose. Like, I get that, right? There's that feeling. But I think he was right to the line, and I don't think he crossed the line. He didn't swing his head at him. He didn't, the ball was out of bounds still, too. And then the guy goes down like he's been shot. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of like what's a handball? What's a
Yeah,
knock?
but we've been on the wrong side of those all freaking year. All year.
And if you look at how the game went, the expected goals, surprising 2.7 for RSL, 1.4 for LAFC. And a lot of that is LAFC just kind of sitting back and RSL kind of lofting in balls.
No, that means we had good opportunities in good situations to score and did not, right? So either we passed or we went to shoot and something happened, it got blocked,
Missed a penalty kick.
we just missed, right? Or miss a penalty kick. That's probably why we're at 2.7. But they were only 1.4. But the circumstances of the game made it so they got those late couple of breakaways that made it 4-1. And so, it was kind of rough to see that and see that play out that way. But it wasn't a 4-1 game, I didn't think. The scoreline, I thought, was a little unjust for how well we played.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like the jersey you're wearing. It's fool's gold. It's pyrite.
Right. It's not real gold.
It's not real gold. So there's a question I want to bring up after we get done chatting about the games here. So RSL goes down 4-1 the post game. Talking to Pablo, it's like, what are you going to do different against LAFC in the next match? And what did he say? We're going to do
the same thing. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to have a different result.
We're going to kick them harder. We're going to play harder because that's worked all season.
Nope.
Oh, okay. So go.
But before we dive into the next game, a couple things came up. This is why I didn't get a comment in the post game. First of all, there was a lot of people there, which is fine. But it was interesting because they brought up this issue of the fans in the the supporter section. And so there was a couple things that went down, and rough week across the U.S. Have an assassination go down, and so people are very dialed into the temperature of what's happened here in Utah. And so, first of all, our heartfelt condolences go out to the family and all those that were affected by that. Like, that's some crazy stuff that went down, and like, to have that happen in our backyard is just so sobering and horrible and horrific. And anyone that was affected by that, like, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry it happened here, and that sucks. So that was heightened. And then there was a guy that was there at the previous game, and he was wearing a MAGA hat, and he was trying to fight everybody and just being a jerk. And I talked to multiple fans, and they were saying, that guy was horrible. What was he doing?
Well, the other thing, too, is that he didn't wear the hat in. He didn't have the balls to wear the hat in.
Yeah.
He hid the hat, and
then he put it on to try to instigate with people and try to fight people and just yelling at everybody, being a jerk. And I don't think that was his, focus. His focus was trying to be a jerk to everybody. Oh, so yeah. then he's just fighting, and finally they kick him out. Now he tries to record himself leaving the game, and he's the victim.
Himself.
Yeah, as if he's the victim, right?
Well, and the most, you should know, right? If you go and watch that video, the biggest tip-off is he's wearing a Man City shirt. So the guy.
He has no idea what he's doing.
No, absolutely not.
You don't know what you're doing. No. Get out of our stadium.
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, Man City, get out of here.
Man City? Come on, man. Oh, you might as well wear a Sporting Kansas City jersey, dude. And you walk into that, into the supporter section, you're going to get beat up. It's not going to be pretty. Anyway, so he leaves, right? And then the RSL said, hey, look, we didn't kick him out because of the MAGA hat. We'll welcome him back, trying to downplay the importance of that. And so a lot of the supporters groups were trying to say, wait, you kicked him out because of this, or you didn't, right? So there's this political thing. And then there were a couple of articles that came out about it. And then this guy, supposedly, could have been him, could have been someone else posing as him, said some racial slurs, some really homophobic things.
No, I'm pretty sure it was him, because all you had to do, everybody just Googled him that day, and it was pretty obvious if you look at his Twitter that he was using the N-word. He made comments. You could, say that, oh, maybe it wasn't him, but I doubt that's the case. He didn't come off as being the most sophisticated kind of person.
Yeah,
so the point was
unverified.
unverified, but it's certainly all the evidence points to him being not
racist.
Yeah, not
jerk.
the nicest kind of person. And if we want to get into it, really, the part that really bothered me the most was the apology. That RSL apologized to him and welcomed his family back after they knew. You just took a deep dive, and the fans, a lot more savvy than I am. They pulled up, like, even, he made comments about RSL deporting their Hispanic players.
Yeah, like, dude's way out of line. And if that is the same player, as the same guy, as the same person, as the Twitter, and if that's all connected, then
it looks
obviously
like it is.
We don't want him back. But, but that kind of all was hot and boiling over, I guess. And so in the post game, Pablo got a couple questions on it, right? About what are we doing if we're welcoming this guy back? If he's full of hatred and all these things, and Pablo's like, I coached the team. I was watching him going, oh, bro, that's a tough question.
But it was brought up thoughtfully. I thought the question was, it may have been the wrong venue, but at some point you have to bring those up. It's not like we have, or not we, but the press or anybody else that's at these games, the podcast, David James or anybody else has the ability to just call up, the Millers and say, hey, what's going on? And back to what I was saying.
To get your comment on this,
And I thought he handled it really well. He could have, maybe taken a little bit more strident defense of whatever he believes in, but I don't know what that would have got him. So,
well, yeah, and
I don't know what he believes, but on the apology, it wasn't the fact that they apologized. It was what was in the apology. For me personally, it's not their fault, right? It's not RSL's policy that they don't want any kind of political statements at the games. Let's go play soccer. It's an MLS rule, whether it's defined, it's specific enough or not. It says there's no political stance, and they've kicked out people on both sides of the issues.
Yep, they kicked out the guy with the flag with the stars in the circle, right? And the guy was like, "Look, it's not racist to me. I was just, it's historical or whatever." And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but there's certain things you just can't do at the Real games, and that's fine because that's all through MLS, right?
And a lot of it, I think, too, that was the hypersensitivity about, what happened here. Maybe if it happened somewhere else, it's not as people aren't on pins and needles as they were here because they don't want that. Everybody,
They want everybody to feel safe at the Real game, right?
And everybody in the moment just wants to overreact, whether you're on one side of an issue or on the other side of the issue, right?
Everybody's just overreacting, and then in the end, hey, there's not a lot we can do anyway, and Real met with the supporters groups, and then the supporters group said, hey, we're satisfied with the response we got from ownership, and because the strongly worded letter from the fan groups were, we want to see this addressed, basically. And it sounds like it was according to what they did. But they didn't cheer in the whole first half.
And I thought that was a great statement. And it was asked, Pablo said that the players didn't hear it, and they probably didn't. I mean, you get locked in.
Yeah, you're focused. But
you could feel it in the stands. I wasn't in the press box. My wife and I, like I said, I was with the Tottenham fans.
It was eerie, man. It was eerie how... I put a couple clips out there of how quiet it was with the game going on, and that normally isn't the case. It was pretty quiet.
It's like that was COVID days. It was a great response by the supporter section. I give them a hard time for
their disunity. There's 17 different sectors.
Yeah, and it looks like there are a lot of people in the South End working hard to bring them all together. And I can't really cast aspersions. I'm not over there. So
yeah, I go over there when I'm not in the press box, but
I would love to see it a little bit more like the
32, 52.
32, 52. That's a nice supporter section.
Yeah, they're all together. They're all doing the same thing. They all follow along.
I love it when everybody bounces
when they're
back
bouncing.
and forth.
I know, that's why I was doing this, right? That's like the fun of a soccer game, going and bouncing around and yelling and screaming and
So that was it was interesting. We try not to be political on here because everybody has their beliefs and we tend to piss each other off when we talk about politics.
True.
So we find a balance. We are on different ends of the spectrum, and we can have a podcast together. So hopefully that's a good example of what people can do when they just focus on having fun and enjoying the game.
Yep.
So that being said, we get into the second game. Starts out a little different. We jump on them. We talked about Vera's goal, which smashed in the back of the net after the missed opportunity from Piol. Because Agata, he's just everybody loves Willie Agata. He's just like
he's so fun and jovial, and like he's such a nice guy. He really is.
And that's what.
But I like Ari in the game, honestly.
Well, we had the opportunity to at lunch to head over to practice, and we're talking to some of the communications kids. They're all kids. I mean, they could be 20-something in their 30s, but they're all kids to me. It's like, Willie, they said they love Willie Agata. He's just like a ray of sunshine all the time. He's just so much fun. And so Piol gets the start, and he misses his opportunity. And RSL then comes back. We're up 1-0. And then let's just get to the point. The game turns, right?
Yeah. A couple of refereeing decisions. Weird. It felt like the second ref. I don't think he was as bad as the first ref guy was, but he was okay. But
Alexis De Silva.
That's right. Yep. And there's two problems with this game and two refereeing decisions. And I think one is the only one we need to talk about, which there was a yellow card for Yedlin. I thought that was out of nowhere, first foul. Same thing with Tillman, his first foul, yellow card. But there was one play where we were away, and they just grabbed, was it Luna, I think? And they just grabbed him, just bear hugged him, and he couldn't go. And, no yellow card for stopping that promising attack. Maybe it wasn't promising enough.
Well, it was one of those ones where it doesn't look like it's ever going to be promising, but I think the one I'm talking about where he gets the pass off to the right, and
then he's ready to switch the play, and he just gets grabbed and hugged.
The ref just kind of,
and it's like, no, he's stopping a promising attack. You gotta card that. But then sometimes you get carding people, and then the game's out of control, even with the cards, and now you're just card happy. So I get not being too crazy card happy, but I think the two fouls that were actually yellow carded were dumb. Yedlin's wasn't a yellow card. He did bump the guy. He fouled him, but it's a common foul. Didn't rise to endangering safety or anything crazy like that. And then Tillman's wasn't much worse, but it was worse than Yedlin's. So I'm like, don't love either of those, but okay, fine. But then, right around the 44th or so minute, right? They're breaking out after a corner kick, right? And Catranis is it Catranis taking off?
It's like the 38th minute or somewhere in there. Anyway, it was late in the half, and it was the ball went into
touch,
touch, and the keeper had it or something, and
Cabral went to.
I think Catranis was going back to get on defense, and Palencia was right with him, and they were going down the sideline because it was one of those. They were doing something which wasn't really tied to the rest of the play, right? They were setting up.
The ball wasn't in play.
So
it was on the field, but it wasn't in play.
And they were, the cameras weren't on them. And this is the one. This play got me up because I was, just laying on the couch watching the game, and I sat up. I saw when they saw the first replay. I go, "That's a red card."
Oh, he comes across, and sometimes you come across and you catch him in the chest, you push each other, you're both pushing each other, it's frustrating, but that's all it is, and the ball's, ready to be in play, so, it's not a foul, because you can't foul someone when the ball's not in play, right? For those of you learning how to ref, there you go, right? But if it rises to the level of yellow card or red card, then you still take action, right? So I'm thinking, okay, it's easily a yellow, but you don't review yellow cards.
It was a straight up. It was
but then you
red.
see again that his elbow came up and got right in his ear.
You could see him
decked
lift. He lift his elbow,
decked him,
going for the head.
and he just clocked him so hard. And there wasn't a replay. There wasn't a fourth official. It happened right in front of the fourth official, right in front of him. There wasn't a replay. I mean, they showed it one time on the broadcast. Then there was nothing. They did not review it. Pablo's out there yelling at him like, that's an effing red card. And I think in the postgame when he was talking to you about it, he almost said that, right?
Well, yeah, he almost said the F word when it talks about, I think players making plays. We have to make our plays. We got to make some plays.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that wasn't a red card other than it's LAFC. And
within 2 minutes, they went down and scored.
Yeah, the first goal
Maybe it was 4 minutes. But
first goal from Bouanga, that was really beautiful. That's a beautiful setup, and they just sliced.
So let's talk about that, because Bouanga has the ball, and he passes it to Son, and it deflects off of Glad. Like if you watch this playback, he played it, Glad blocked it, but it still went right to Son. So I think that's why Glad ended up so far out of position, because he hit it. So he's like, oh, I got it. And then he's, turned to go with, we got the ball, right? Like he thought, I deflected that, so it's going to go to us. But it went right to Son, who played it right into Bouanga. And now Glad was like out of position, turned the wrong way. And Bouanga just one-timed it right in the back corner.
Oh, poor Cabral, man.
He got hung out to dry. But it was all Son's reaction. And, Bouanga was doing the give and go anyway. But, Glad was like, I blocked it. You know what I mean? And so it was like this. So Glad was way out of position. And then Vera stepping wasn't quite there either. And, you got to count that as a lucky goal. It deflected off our guy and went right to them, who played it in, and then they scored.
Well, I don't know.
That's pretty lucky. So it's still at that point, I was like, that's pretty lucky. We'll just go in at halftime 1-1, and maybe we sneak out of here with a point.
It kind of goes back to what Moadu was saying. It's like, why is RSL not putting themselves in a better position with every touch, right? Touching the play, they're not going forward.
But that's what Anelli does. He wasn't even in.
But that's kind of what LAFC does all the time. These better teams. And what do? They're ready for all of the options. They're going to, you can't reward everyone every run, but they rewarded his Son and Bouanga are just like brothers from another mother.
And
those
guys
so good, dude. If LAFC can put together a little stronger defense and pull together, they do tend to take sections of the game off and kind of relax and let where the better teams in the league, they're above in the standings, don't take time off. They could get punished that way, but RSL didn't stand a chance. And then
you put that red card back in there, those goals probably don't happen. They probably just bunker down, try to make it in till halftime, and we're up 1-0 at halftime still.
And we lose 2-1.
But maybe.
Or
but still,
we come out of there with, at the very least, we come out of there with a point, which is
something,
which
right?
is would have been could be the difference in making the playoffs.
But instead, Katranis ends up with a punctured ear. I don't even know.
Eardrum, they said.
Eardrum. Okay. So Junka comes in, and then we're like, great. Junka played so well against him last time. Let's run this back.
Well, that was in the second half. But the Sun goal, which Pablo talked about the goals being different, this was a carbon copy. One was right foot, one was left foot. Top of the box, nobody's guarding him.
20 yards out, 20-something.
He puts it right on the post, and Cabral can't get there.
With his off
Nobody
foot.
gets there,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and there's a couple other things going on that made the back line shift. And he went left, so instead of thinking this is Son, they were like, oh, he's going to his left foot. He's not going to hit that. And then he did.
And it's 2-1, and you're just like, game over. And I think the no call on the red card, that's when the game was over, to be totally honest, because they preached about...
That's when they lost the belief that they could win the game. Like, if that guy can do that to us and get away with it and not even get it to a review, like not even let the ref go take a look at it. How is that not happening? It's so infuriating.
Then the second half come in, we're down 2-1. Some
Made
early
subs.
early subs. Junqua in for Catranis at halftime.
Rowan Cruz is guys. This guy is not our high value DB that we thought he was. Like I've
talented.
seen him for like 5 games. He has no goals. He has a lot of like ambition sometimes, but I mean, if this is it, like send him back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think he can fit in here and do some good stuff, but he's not doing it right now.
And I would argue, I think he's better than Gonzalez. I think he brings more, but
not dramatically more.
Not dramatically more, but also I don't know if we have the coaching staff, the tactics to put together a winning options for the players that we have. But we can talk about it after the game.
Yeah, but Gonzalez came in for Cruz, which he kind of brought the game up a touch, and that's what made me think, oh, dang, if Gonzalez is out playing Cruz right now, that's not good. He's supposed to be our up-and-comer, our new DP, and he's sitting down. Which
My thoughts when Gonzalez and Gata come in is just like, sub him in, it's like going down a man. Yeah,
it's like, all right, we're down 2-1. Let's flop out these 2 and see what happens.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. It was like roll the dice.
That's all the changes seem to be.
That's what it looked like.
Roll the dice.
Yeah,
all season, roll the dice, see what happens. And then RSL, to their credit, they did have some. A lot of it might be LAFC just turning off for a little bit, and RSL was putting pressure and pressure and pressure. And then they made some subs in the 70th minute. They brought in Hollingshead, Moran, and Chouanier, however you say his name, and then Bouanga gets the 3rd goal, and it's 3-1.
Moran created it with his hustle. And then
Tasson
and Bouanga, and then 3-1, and then we're all pissed. And then we get to see a Mecca and Nelly in the 74th minute. And the funny thing was, they didn't even sub him in for Caliscan.
Subbed
him in for Ojeda. And I'm like, where did Ruiz go? Did he...
He's had a quad injury. He was out. He was practicing today.
All right, well, obviously Pablo doesn't love the O'Nelly like we do. The O'Nelly. What did we decide on that?
And it was 3 games in a week, right? So managing, but when the season's on the line, maybe
you play your best players. And Nelly
players.
and Ojeda are our best midfield. I don't even think it's close.
And the last 2 games against LAFC, they did a great job, limiting Luna.
Yeah. And all the way till the 88th minute, and then Barea came in for him, and by then I was kind of checked out. I was watching the game, but I was very numb for what was happening, and I was like, ah!
All right, so RSL loses both games, pretty much carbon copy. A little different, I guess you could.
Different moments, of course.
Different moments. You can split hairs if you want, but it was 4-1. If you're going to give Son a hat trick, you got to give Bouanga a hat trick. So that was very generous. We talked about how generous
giving
RSL is to the new
8-2 in back-to-back games.
So
it's like those games in Europe where Man City plays like Udinese or some like lower division Spanish club or Italian side that's halfway down the table, and they just work them. Right? That's what it felt like. It felt like they didn't even have to try that hard to just beat the crap out of us. That's disheartening.
Yeah.
And that's why we got to talk about this to everybody, right? We got to talk us down, Brandt.
Let's get into a little bit of therapy, but before we do, we've been so focused on all the things, any orange slices the last 2 games. There's got to be a couple.
Oh, yeah, both goals. Bangers. Both goals. Wasting those beautiful goals. Vera in the second game. And,
Gozo in the first.
Yeah, and Gozo played relatively well. He tracked back on defense. He came back and disrupted stuff. Did really well. Like, I think Gozo's the bright spot. And him going away to the World Cup might mean the difference between making and not making the playoffs, even though I think we're out at this point anyway.
Yeah, and that's so hard that's so weird to say because we're only 3 points out of the playoff spot. But
there's 4 teams ahead of us or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second.
What were you
going to say about this?
Well, I wanted to talk about maybe it's just come to a realization. How do you want to put it? Maybe we don't talk ourselves down, and maybe let's have a reality check. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and this came up. I'm on the big soccer board. I've brought it up a couple of times. There's a great little community there of RSL fans that have been talking about RSL from the very beginning. And it's big soccer, and it's the RSL forum. And I wanted to share a couple of things that were brought up. Some great posters on there. I'll give him credit, 15 to 32. Because we talk about this all the time, but he may articulate a little better than we do. Because I'll just say church ball, right? Talking about Palencia and the Catranas. And he says, from my limited, uneducated perspective, Pablo has neutered this team of key team sport functions and emotions. He seemed to have swung the pendulum so far in the introspective direction that this team lacks bite and a sense of aggression. Evidence of it, like the lack of any response to Catranas, is becoming more and more plentiful. It concerns me that the team doesn't have some basic we versus them mentality that this club has to have. That's from 15 to 32. Very knowledgeable soccer fan on. And he says it a lot better than me just saying, hey, you know what? Why didn't we church ball the crap out of Palencia? Nobody went for his head, and the guy stayed on the game.
Ojeda caught him. Ojeda caught him later in the game.
Not good enough.
Oh, he headbutted him. What are you talking about?
Not good enough.
That's not good enough. Okay. All right. Fair.
So
if we're going down, but see, this is the, and I kind of like this, but it takes me back to my playing days, right? Where, okay, we might lose this game, but this guy's going to go home with a pain in his thigh. You know what I mean? My knee is going to catch his thigh next play. And
I'm not saying you hurt somebody. I'm not saying.
No, not to break anything. Just, catch him right in his muscle so that tomorrow he's that's going to hurt.
And there wasn't anything like that. And the point isn't necessarily, why didn't you go after Palencia? The point is, has Pablo taken that out of the team? Why does RSL not have bite? Is it just because?
Yeah. And this is where Stoic philosophy kind of comes in, right? I get, and we're going to kind of juxtapose for a minute. Brian, with Stoic philosophy. So Brian comes to RSL, right? He's there at the first game. He scores the header. All that emotion. He posts the flag, right? Dunny's like, woohoo, yeah. But Dunny was vicious, dude. I was, if you were a fan like we were, and you went to those games up at Rice Eccles Stadium, and you saw some of the head nods between the players where they were like, that dude just cheap shot at me. You got him. And they would be like, yep. And then next play, boom, he'd just get shouldered right in the back and kind of cheap shot, right? And just slam. And then the play would go on and would all move on. And, there wasn't video review back then. And I think that maybe that's where that kind of started catching up to us.
Well, you just have to be better at it.
Well, and Kyle was the original enforcer, right? Once he came on, then it was us against them. And it was I'm going to hit you right at the start of the game, and I'm going to make fun of you the whole game, and I'm going to just, and we don't see hardly any of that anymore. And I think that's a fun part of soccer. What do you think?
Well, I think it's part of every sport, engendering, creating respect from the other team for you, right? LAFC doesn't respect. MLS teams don't respect RSL at the moment. They aren't scared of him. They're not worried they're going to score on him. They don't necessarily respect him. Not that you have to, but that's just kind of maybe respect's not the word, but they don't fear them. They aren't intimidated by them in any way. And thinking about that, Chris Winger was another one.
Yep.
Oh, he had some great tackles. And, of course, you don't see a ton of crunching tackles like you used to and across the board in the game, in Europe and here. And not necessarily good or bad. You want to see a game flow, and you want to see the best players out there, and you want to see a beautiful game. But one of my favorite things about Kyle Beckerman that I'll never forget, and it kind of, as I've learned the game and watched the game, there was a game where the mic caught him. He was talking to the ref, and this was after somebody fouled him or one of our players, and he said to the ref, "I get a free one, right?" And so it was like some of those unwritten rules. I heard it clear as day.
Okay, he took that on me. I get a free one on him,
Because
right?
he was the captain of the Cubs. So there's kind of like these unwritten rules in all of the sports. Baseball has more unwritten rules than written rules. But there's those things. And I think RSL, I think it's a great point. It's something to think about that Pablo, you know, these guys are reading a lot of books. That's great. Just to be facetious. But there is a little bit of that.
Stoic philosophy.
There is a little bit. There isn't enough physical, intimidating play from RSL.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they should have hurt Palencia, but I don't know that, he went home any worse for wear after.
And Catranis sure did.
Yeah, after clocking him. But another thing I wanted to bring up, this is from Jay Lon. Again, he's going to say it's a lot more articulate than we are. I am, at least. He says, I think one of the biggest issues with RSL culture, we keep wanting to fix the weakest part, but when the whole thing is broken, fixing the weakest link doesn't change much. For example, Olatunji and Cruz are huge upgrades to Agata, and Jago, but has that really helped? No. Why? Because no one on the team outside of Cabral is good enough. Maybe Luna. He says, we need wholesale changes with a change in culture where the top of the league is the standard. So he says, I have no idea if the owners care about winning enough to do this. And I think that is a great question.
Well, if that's the case, then basically one of them is saying the players aren't good enough, and then the other one's basically saying the front office isn't good enough.
Well, I don't
Not
think...
my words, theirs.
No, I think it's more like on the first one is more like the team it doesn't have bite because they're so focused on the intangibles, philosophy, and not bite. Whereas this one is more like RSL overall is always changing the weakest link, and maybe it's time for an overhaul where you're talking about the general manager, you're talking about all the coaching, you're talking about the front office, because we are in this cycle where we are back to, we had one great season last year, all kinds of off-field situations, and now we're back to, trying to eke our way into the playoffs. So,
well, I agree with you on that, and you and I were talking before the podcast about that moment where you asked Pablo after this second 4-1 loss, like, you did the same thing and you got the same result, right? And then you basically turned around and said, like, isn't that, like, I don't know, you didn't say the definition of insanity, but he, he was like, no, they're very different games, and those moments were very different in the two games. They just figured out multiple ways to beat us. And then we were talking about that foul on Catranis where he just gets clocked, right? And what did he say to you?
Well, he brought up the fact that what we've been lamenting, that we just haven't got the calls all season.
All season.
And maybe when you focus on that, it's kind of like what you put out in the universe, you get back, right? Do you want to, if you put out kindness, you're going to get kindness back, hopefully. Excuse me.
So what are we putting out there to get red cards? To get BS calls from refs? Like, we got the Olatunji duck your head and run, even though he wasn't running at the guy. The guy stuck his head in the way of his head. So now it's a headbutt and a violent conduct. Come on, man. That's BS. And then this decision to go against us, that's BS too. And Ari Piol in the very first game, that was BS. Yeah. Like, there's so many moments throughout this season that have gone against us. It's like 10.
Well,
10 really bad plays that went exactly against us.
When you're adding those up, and that's what you're focused on, that means the rest of the season, everything else you're doing sucks if that's the focus.
Well, that's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
So we're just radical acceptance, right? There's our therapy term for radical acceptance of what's happening at RSL. It's not. That's where we're at. Those things throughout the year have put us in a spot where we're not likely to make the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be uphill. We've got the team to watch. Before we get to that, is FC Dallas. They've got 2 games against LAFC. They only have 3 games left, but 2 of them are against LAFC, and they're 3 points ahead of us, I believe.
Yeah.
So, but continuing with this kind of like deep thoughts or kind of like self-reflection here when it comes to Real Salt Lake, one of the things I was thinking about, because the quote from Pablo after the game on Wednesday where he said, we're just going to play harder, we're going to just keep doing what we're doing, it just kind of stuck in the back of my head and just like, yeah, exactly.
Nothing?
Like,
we're not going to change nothing? And then he did sub out a Nelly and put in Caliscan. And he subbed out Ola Tonji. And
when
put
really
in
he
Peel.
should have just put Caliscan right back. I mean, come on.
Well,
Yedlin
that might have done it.
Yedlin is not. I kept thinking, it's like, I wonder if Cincinnati knew something and Schmidt got taken to cleaners there with picking up Yedlin, because he hasn't. He's had 2 games, and it's just 2 games, but it kind of
sat
like,
out a game because he got a yellow in the
card,
first
yeah,
game.
So
So hopefully Yedlin gets back to
So here's my
really
thought.
playing RSL ball.
Since you'll be the therapist here, but here's the thought: we're 30 games into the season, and what are the post game? What are the things you hear every post game? There's 2 things, right?
2 things. Okay.
Goals change games,
Right.
and this was the first time in a long time, and maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Maybe I was just hyper focused on it. Where Pablo, pretty much, we watched it before. Maybe tell me I'm wrong, but Pablo was almost not blaming the player. He was blaming the players. That's
He
what
was
it comes.
so frustrated. If you watch that video of Brandt asking him these questions, he's all over the place in the camera. He's fidgeting. You can just tell he is upset.
But I thought the tone was, he mentioned the tactics. The player, we all agree with the tactics. And if you ask the players, do you like what we're doing? What are they going to say? No. They're going to say, yeah. Oh yeah, we're good. We're getting into dangerous spots. We're doing all these things, and you're not going to tell your coach no. You're not going to have an intervention with your coach and say, hey, you know what, this isn't working.
Yeah, well,
but
maybe they're asking it in a different way. They might be saying, how can we play better to help you, flourish in this environment? And then they're saying, no, I think what we're doing is good, but here's how to make it great, or they don't have ideas. And that's the coaching. The coaches need to come up with those ideas. That needs to be their thing. But
and
anyway.
we're all frustrated. I get it.
Yeah.
But my thought was, and hindsight is 20/20. At what point don't you go? Because we've lost. Well, I'm not.
Hindsight's
playing.
not
Ours-
always 20/20 though.
It's
That's why therapy is so effective. Because you don't always understand what's
sometimes-
happened in the past.
Sometimes hindsight has astigmatism.
Yeah. So I like that. Yeah, that's way better. Yeah, let's go
sometimes
with
has
that.
astigmatism. But I was thinking, RSL in the last 6 games has given up 15 goals. They've only won 1. And at some point, if you keep saying that moments change games, goals change games, at some point maybe you ought to figure out, you know what, we don't have the players that are going to
What are those moments?
live up to those moments and make those plays. And so maybe we ought to be a little more self-reflective and say, you know what, it's going to be boring, but we can't go up and play a high line and get forward all the time. Go down
a high line
and go down 2-0 and expect to get any results. We have to park the bus. We have to play defense. We have to focus on not giving up goals, the very first thing, so that we can. RSL has been dangerous on the counter and some possessing the ball, and maybe made some changes along. I don't know what they are. I'm not the expert.
Well, and we were in a low block in both of their first half goals in this game, in the second game. So, in that case, it was different, right? Because we were in a low block, and they just were better than us at that moment. You got that unlucky bounce, but yeah, rough.
And I don't know if there are tactics or if in changing tactics 10 games ago would have made a difference.
But, sometimes teams just have your number.
And watching the game, here's the other thing that struck me. Watching these 2 games with LAFC, I kept thinking, it's like, this is like when, Crawley Town plays Leeds United. Oh, did win that game in the FA Cup. But when a League Two team plays a Premier League team in the FA Cup, like in the early rounds of the FA Cup, one team was just really that much better, and it was almost disheartening to say, man, RSL, they are bottom half of the Major League Soccer right now. They're falling behind.
Well, I went and looked at all the teams below us in the standings, and I went full conference standings, and right now RSL sit 22nd in the Supporters Shield standings. So it's kind of ugly. And if you look at the top team, Philadelphia, who they've had some weird ups and downs this year too, but they're sitting on 60 points.
But here's something to think about. What did Philadelphia do last year?
They kind of gutted their front line.
They also changed coaching.
They got rid of Gazdag, and they changed their coach out.
They got rid of Jim Curtin, who
was there forever,
and he was very successful.
Yeah, he was pretty successful, and then brought in a new guy, and now they sit top of the table with a couple games to go there. But I'm just going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the supporters section, Shield section, and the only teams below us this year are LA Galaxy, which they beat us. But they're eliminated from the playoffs. They've had like the worst start in MLS club history or something. Montreal, who's been bad. DC United, who lost their prize striker and their one big difference maker.
Benteke?
Yeah, he got injured early on in the season. Atlanta, who has lots and lots of salary going into that. So they're more disappointing. Toronto and Atlanta, I would say, are more disappointing than RSL this year. But they're Eastern Conference, so we don't care that much about them. And SKC and St. Louis have been worse than us throughout the season.
And New England.
And New England,
They're
you can put them in there too. But yeah, basically RSL, New England, and San Jose. But San Jose is disappointing in a totally different way. They're disappointing because Chicho plays there, and we hate his guts now. At least I do. And then
San Jose, I love you. You've scored 56 goals this season, and you've got a 2-goal differential.
Minus two goal differential with 56 goals scored. So at least we're not them. But now we're sitting on minus 13 goal differential. And here's the thing, Brandt. I'm looking at the home, like our home record, 7-7-1. It means we have 7 losses at home this year. That's horribly disappointing. Turn a couple of those into ties, and we're right up there. Turn a couple of these random red cards out there into, 1 points instead of, negative points, whatever, 0 points, you know what I mean?
And then Caleb Turner pointed out, he was on Twitter. He's the KSL. He works for KSL.
Yeah, we've had him on. Yeah.
And great, fun guy.
Yep.
And he was pointing out that RSL has 16 losses. This was on his Twitter, and that's the most
league.
Most losses in their history, except for the first season when they lost 22. And he says there's 4 games less. I don't know if he was trying to say, hey, you know what? They're not going to get to 22. Like he was hoping they would get to. I'm just kidding.
No, there's a couple teams with 17, and SKC has 18 losses. But
RSL had 15 losses
16,
in 07, which is their third year, 5, 6, 7, and 15 losses in 15 and 17.
Wow.
And now we have 16 losses in. Well, I guess it doesn't seem like that's almost 10 years ago. So it doesn't seem that long ago. 15 and 17 doesn't feel that long ago.
Right.
But
again, we're in 22nd place. And the top 10 teams make the playoffs. And the fact that we're even close to the playoffs after the horrible season we've had is kind of a miracle in and of itself. But usually this is when teams just pack it in.
We will see what RSL is going to do. They have 2 games at home against an Austin team that just beat Seattle 2-1 and is looking to jump Seattle.
They're in 6th.
They're in 6th, and you want to get well, maybe they don't want to because 6 is the home game, right? or 4 and 5 get the home game. I can't remember.
Yeah, so 8, 9 do the play-in game.
And then they get
and then they play
San Diego in first place.
Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, and 4 all get home games. But LAFC with their double in the week are up to 4th.
And so Austin's going to be wanting to jump over Seattle and continue push they're playing well. And the thing about Austin, and this is what I think about, is they've only scored 33 goals. RSL has scored 32. And so
you can pull it off in MLS by not scoring a ton of goals.
Yep.
But you got to do it right.
You can't give up.
And they only have
45 goals.
37 scored against them. So they're -4. We're minus what?
13.
Whoa, that's always the telling stat. There are the only teams below us have a worse goal differential, and we're sitting on the same goal differential as St. Louis now.
Yeah. So let's look at the games. RSL has 2 big games, must win, as big as must win as they could be. Talking about the season before we get there.
It's called the Wolf Brothers battle.
The reason the RSL is even in the playoffs is Cabral.
They're even close.
If Cabral, if McMath or anyone else on the roster had been not to pick on McMath, but we would be out of the playoffs and everybody would be.
Place.
Nobody would. Yeah, it wouldn't be. We'd already been over this by now.
Yeah.
And but Cabral is the reason, and it's too bad he got hung out to dry in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So RSL has 2 games at home, Austin and then Colorado, and who knows, maybe the Rocky Mountain Cup is enough to solve
enough salve on our wounds to make us heal
for the season. Hey, we got the Rocky Mountain Cup. So those are the next 2 home games, this 27th and the 4th of October, and then the rescheduled game.
Gonna go to Seattle.
Seattle, October 11th on the road, and then St. Louis on the 18th.
Judgment Day.
And
they don't call it that. What do they call it?
Decision Day.
Decision Day. They should call it Judgment Day. I think that's more fun.
And RSL really needs to win. Probably needs to win 3.
Yeah, I think that last game doesn't matter at all because St. Louis is already going to be packing it in by then, and
they've been playing.
We probably will be too.
Yeah, and then the teams around us, San Jose, they're dropping like a rock.
Yeah, if they don't make the playoffs, I'll be very happy.
And
it's the classic Chicho move, right?
Yeah, and so the teams above us, they do have just like RSL, they got some. It's really interesting. They have some really tough end of the season. San Jose, at San Diego, at Vancouver, home to Austin.
Well. Yeah.
That is brutal. That plays in RSL's favor.
What about Houston?
Houston, they have Nashville away. San Diego at home. Sporting KC.
On the final game.
Final game away.
So they only have 3 games. Yeah, a lot of teams still have 3 games left. So,
but
we still have 4. But
that's no walk in the park. And then FC Dallas, like I said, they have Portland, who just lost, I think. And they have Portland away, and then they have Galaxy at home, Galaxy away, and they finish with Vancouver.
So they have 2 Galaxy give-up games?
Yeah. This is the team I've been saying for weeks that we've had to watch them end up in the playoffs. And Colorado has
us,
Minnesota.
And
they're
that's
number 2.
Another team I wish didn't make the playoffs.
But they're in second place.
I really don't like Minnesota. I don't like the way they play. I love that they lost on the weekend. That makes me happy. The Colorado-Minnesota game, I can't cheer for either team.
So you got Colorado, Minnesota, then RSL, Colorado, and then LAFC at home for Colorado. So
looks rough for them.
That's tough. And then Portland, everybody else. I think Austin's although we'll read out Austin's too. So anything could happen. It doesn't feel like it, but
yeah, Portland play the top half of the.
Portland has Vancouver, Dallas, Seattle, and San Diego.
Yeah.
That's a rough one. And then Austin, finish it off since Brendan's not here, so we'll say, if you're still listening.
They still have 5 games left.
The thing with Austin on Saturday we didn't talk about, they might rotate. When do you rotate? Because they've played next Wednesday, they play the final between Austin and Nashville in the U.S. Open Cup. Do they Do they rotate
go
against
for
Real
the
Salt Lake,
win?
or do they rotate,
Yes,
against?
against Real Salt Lake. Take the loss at altitude, and then go for it in Nashville. That's my advice to them.
Or do they
It
come
really
in?
matters.
Yeah. Or do they come in and go after a weakened RSL team and then play the U.S. Open Cup and rotate against St. Louis?
Which, yeah, they're almost out of the playoffs anyway.
So then they finish with
yeah.
LAFC in San Jose. So,
But if we lose on Saturday to Austin at home,
oh, it's done.
then yeah, the only thing that would be more insulting than that is if little brother Wolf scores on big brother Wolf, right?
Yeah.
Owen and Tyler.
And so far, talk about Cabral keeping us in there, and then that win against Kansas City. If we'd have lost against Kansas City, we'd be toast.
Yeah,
We'd be done already. But that doesn't mean that weird things can't happen, considering that the teams in front of us, every single one of them, minus the FC Dallas, don't have it any easier than us. So it's all – and it's kind of funny. Usually, it's crazy that those teams are all packed in together. So it does play in RSL's favor. They can turn it around and get a couple of victories at home. Then who knows? It's only going to take, I think, 43 points maybe.
which is
9
a long
points
ways
for us.
away, which is 3 wins out of 4 games.
But it's doable because, everybody else has got to get those wins too.
But it starts on Saturday. If we
starts
don't
on
get
Saturday.
Austin, then nothing matters. So
So
we'll
is
see.
there any other questions that we talk about a little bit of therapy? I was wondering, I'm leaning towards, regardless of what happens, if you were to ask me today, if I was kind of grumpy, if you were to ask me today what I think RSL should do, go ahead and ask me what do you think, Art?
What do you think RSL should do, Brandt?
That's a great question, Tyler. I think it's time to clean house.
Oh, meaning what?
I don't know that the current coaching staff.
So are you going Kirk or Pablo? Kurt or Pablo? Sorry, I said Kirk. But it's Kurt.
It's Kurt. I don't know that you clean a serious. Maybe you do it all, but I don't know that anyone has shined this season. Where
Obviously, the kids, Gozo and Luna.
I'm not talking about do you blame the front office? Losing 42 goals and not replacing them. And not that I'm an expert, but I think it's
Come on. You don't have to be an expert to know that, though.
But I was going to point out, it's in the postseason, I kept going on and on about I thought we need another center back, and I think that is true still. I think we could have, if we'd have brought in a bigger, a better, a more experienced, another experienced center back to go with Glad and Vera on the back line, like a Tim Parker, something along those lines. I thought that would have been beneficial. I don't know if it would have made a difference, but I think that if it was me, I think you need to go out and find a coach that has more experience in the international realm. And our Major League Soccer is growing, and it's getting away from the player turning into a coach. A lot of coaches were former players, but I think the window for former MLS players to become MLS coaches, it needs to be longer because there needs to be more experience. And there's a lot of foreign coaches that come in and flamed out, but I do think I would love to see them, if they do that, go that route, is find someone from overseas, maybe has experience in the championship, or some of these other leagues, and bring them in and try something new. If they just say, hey, you know what, Pablo, you didn't make the playoffs and that was the benchmark, off you go. Let's go with the next assistant coach. I might flip a wig.
Assistant coach, you mean? Just pull up someone through the ranks?
Kind of like what they've been doing.
So, if they put Olave as a head coach.
Oh, hell no.
But that's what you're talking about, though, right? Is if they pulled up Olave from... He was a player here. He coached the Monarchs last year, and then he coached...
What makes you think someone that's coaching the Monarchs is going to... It didn't work for Petke.
Right. And
So-
Pablo, same thing, right? Came over as an assistant.
Not that Pablo doesn't. Maybe Pablo's kind of like the guy. What they've got, one of the old bombers from San Jose, the crazy guy that got red carded in Seattle. He's like a mentality coach.
Oh, mentality coach.
Maybe that's
Interesting.
Pablo's who Pablo should be. But I don't know that right now we have the team that can take the players and make this team better than the sum of their parts. Then I think that's the argument, right? This team is playing less than the sum of their parts. Some people could say. I think that they don't have enough players to play above the sum of their parts.
Yeah, and I've heard some people say some very similar things. We've interviewed a lot of fans around the stadium, and we love talking to people. So if you see us out there, I look like this, and he looks like that. So if you're watching us on YouTube, but if not, like, hit us up. Like, would love to hear your take. Here's what I think is going to happen, and I don't have an opinion whether we should or should not, which is kind of strange.
That is very strange for you, Tyler.
But I'm taking a stoic philosophy here where I'm saying whatever happens, I think ownership will be more bought in next year, right? I think they'll say, okay, we got these guys in the summer transfer. Next year they better be good or you're out, that kind of a thing, right? Like, okay, we're going to give you the down year. We're going to give you all these horrible decisions went against us. We're going to give you a change of ownership. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. And next year's your break year. That's what I really think is going to happen. And so everybody gets a new year. And unless you're not getting along, then you're out of alignment with the stars and stuff. And you need to move on and find your new club like Bodie Hidalgo had to do.
Where are you, Nick Beasler? We miss you, Nick.
I know, right?
So I don't know if I would. I think I would be fine with that. I wouldn't necessarily be happy. I think I would be more upset if they let Pablo go and brought in another assistant coach along those lines. But if that's the case, I haven't seen anything that shows me that the dynamic change is going to happen next season.
Yeah, and
Or
that's-
dynamic improvement. Maybe they don't have to change. Maybe just need an off season, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think the only thing we do in the off season is we let Gonçalves go, and then run it back. Maybe bring in a central midfielder, a Javier Morales style player, but those are hard to come by. We've tried to fill that role, I think 47 different times, and we have Javi and Andy Williams to show for it.
You got to
They
spend money.
Both paid together, and that's the year we won the championship. So
And I think it's going to be, too, a big... I don't know if I'm sold on the Millers owning us.
oh yeah.
I don't know that...
Well, it's hard to. Yeah, we have so little data, and
yeah.
to go off of.
I
there.
thought the first thing that gave me pause was however the reaction went down to the fan, right? That had me concerned that they just... they didn't come out and say, hey, you know what, this is MLS policy. We're sorry that this happened, but this is them. They didn't even, the statement didn't even mention all that. Anyway, we've already rehashed that. But I want to believe that the Millers are going to be involved more than Ryan was. But
Yeah.
maybe all they care about is baseball. And that's a nice stadium.
And they're calling themselves stewards, which is good, right? We're here to make sure we do a good job with this team and whatnot. But the Walmart guy was in charge of the Rapids for years and never spent a dime on them. And he's got Walmart money. You know what I mean? He has Arsenal. He knows how to run a club. You know what I mean?
But
Arsenal spends money left and right all the
but
time.
I want RSL to finish higher in second place at some point. So...
Well, let's at least get close to second place first.
I know.
And then we'll figure that out.
I know. I've just been a little. These last two games were just like kind of. I thought RSL was exposed as
Exposed.
as a team that's just not very good.
It's like they walked out of the, tunnel without their shorts on, just running around their jockstrap. That's awkward. And that's how it looked at the end of both of those games.
There's a lot of things you've said, Tyler, but don't put that picture.
Too late now. It's out there, and it's awkward. And that's how I think all the fans feel. So lean into the awkwardness for now. Give one last go for Saturday, and if we can beat Austin at home, then give it one more go again. And if not, if we're out on Saturday, then blame the refs.
It's never our fault.
No, it's not the fans' fault. Never the fans' fault. And that's what we're all about, is the fans. So we're here for you. Hang in there, guys. There's always next year.
And let us know. Are you on the edge, on the precipice like I am? Just like say, hey, blow it all up. Because the thing that worries me the most is like 12 months from now, we're talking about, how we almost made the playoffs. So
yeah, if that's the case, then definitely next year will be blow up year. But I think the Millers try to go for longevity. I think that's their calling card. So unless Pablo's like, hey, I'm out, my family's back in Colorado, I'm gonna go. If they have a 1-to-1 and he gets all,
Yeah, and that's the thing about too, that longevity too, because I always tell the Jazz fans, like, if you ever want to see a championship trophy, you come down State Street, hang a right at Raimondo Drive, you go in there, and that's where you'll see the
championship for the state of Utah.
Yeah. Or wherever whoever has the ABA trophy in the Utah Stars, wherever that thing is.
Yeah, if that was real or not.
It was.
And then the Monarchs have the other one.
That's true.
That's the second tier, but they still have one.
Yeah, so
they have a trophy in the case.
Those junior Jazz kids, if you want to see a trophy, go down to the Monarchs. And we got East Canada. I mean, there's so.
There
anyway.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
Thanks for listening. We hope I don't know if we talked to anybody, made anybody feel better or not.
Hopefully.
Tyler's going to believe.
Inspired, stoically. We're good.
I'll stand up and believe. We'll see how it goes.
You don't even have to believe. Just take some emotion out of it so that you're not hurt personally when we lose. Hang in there. Hang in there, my friends. There's better things to come.
And get to the game on Saturday if you can.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than being there at the Riot. It's an amazing experience. So follow us on all the social media, wherever you get your social media. Like us. Give us some reviews. TikTok us. Yeah, we're on TikTok. The old guy's trying to figure out
Brandt.
TikTok.
He's all TikTok, which is great. He's really good at it.
I do like TikTok. I got a lot to figure out.
You're better at it than either one of us. So.
And thanks to Russell.
Yeah.
Grizz, father. We finally got him his kit he won.
Oh, thanks for being patient with us, Grizz.
Yeah, he said he listens. So
nice.
I guess that's how he won. So
yeah.
So we appreciate that.
What a free jersey.
And we will see you Saturday at the Riot.